Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's going to go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finney, who fires the three, and
he hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from high atop the 18th fairway here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this pre-Thanksgiving Wednesday. Hope everybody is ready to get with it. I know our co-host, Dustin Schutte, is. How you doing, my friend, from outsider.com?
I am doing fantastic. We've got all the food in the fridge, in the pantry. I'm excited to get cooking tomorrow. This is my favorite holiday, right?
Yeah. What conversation were you having yesterday?
Favorite side dish?
No, not on the show. It was on Twitter. You said something and I saw that I responded to.
Well, one of them was, what's your favorite? There's what's your hottest Thanksgiving take? And then another one was, what's a movie you have to watch during the Thanksgiving break? Because we watched Son-in-Law.
Oh, okay. That's not what I saw either of those, but those are actually good. Hottest take. That's going to take me. Let me give me a minute for that one. But that's a good one. And the favorite movie, I'm going to have to think. I've got so many. There are so many. We've got so much to get to as well on the program today. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic will join us. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star. And Rick Bozich, the Hall of Famer, as well. Of course, brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda. Just go to andymoorehonda.com. You can always find the best deals on new and used vehicles there, as well as Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club. Go to your Apple app or Google Play Store. Sign up for the Wow Club. Start earning Wow rewards today to great places like BB's Market, where you can get your turkeys, however you want it. You get it kind of late now, but smoked, pre-made. They do it all. Same for Christmas, man. Sides, it got everything. As a matter of fact, you could say, hey, I'm going to have X number of people. Here's what I want. They can just make the whole thing. Just do it. Unfortunately, no show. I should have done the show there today, but I could have had some Thanksgiving dinner maybe, or a meal, pre-meal.
There you go. Warm up the chewing.
Plenty to get at. Talk about Indiana basketball in action again tonight. And with that, don't forget, after the game with Todd Leary follows Indiana versus Little Rock, which is at 6:30. So game gets over about 8:30, the blah, blah, blah. So therefore, right after the game. Looking forward to that, as well as the game on Friday. So be there for the post game on Friday as well as that. Indiana volleyball, they have a couple matches this weekend that matter. Man, they're on the verge of making the Big Ten tournament. So they've got a couple matches on Wednesday and Friday as well. So good luck to them. The soccer team in action on Sunday in the next round of the NCAA tournament against, instead of Marshall saying we are Marshall, it should be Marshall, we are Europe. They should change their slogan to we are Europe.
Did you go through the roster again?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
70% of their players are from outside of the United States. 70%.
So Jim's upset.
Jim's upset. I don't like it. I mean, if you're playing against an all European or all foreign team, it should just be a foreign school. That's fine. I just don't like an American school using all foreign athletes. Yeah, I've got an issue with it. I got a problem with it.
Is there a particular reason?
Why I have a problem with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a generally, American universities are predominantly American athletes.
Right.
It's usually 70 to 80% on virtually every team. Of course, everyone has a couple. They specifically went out and did this just so they could have a good soccer program. That's BS to me. When you have Todd Yeagley, someone like Todd Yeagley, let me pull up the Indiana men's soccer roster. IU soccer roster. I didn't spell that right. I missed a T. I knew it. I'm gonna be curious on how many of his guys are from the freaking state of Indiana. Much less.
No.
Much less.
Which is pretty impressive.
Very impressive to me. Let's see. I haven't seen the first one that's from Indiana. There's one. Okay, but they don't even have to be from all right, they don't have to be from Indiana, but Missouri, Illinois. There's 3, 4. These guys are all from. There's another one. All right, I'm going to quickly go through them. Granger, Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, California, Bargersville, Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, Columbus, Indiana, Connorsville, Pennsylvania, Fishers, Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, Lake Oswego, Greensboro, North Carolina, Chesterfield, Missouri, Bloomington, Indiana, Shorewood, Illinois, Libertyville, Illinois, Blaine, Minnesota, Fenton, Missouri, Chicago, Illinois, Cincinnati, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Amsterdam, Philadelphia, Skokie, Illinois, Chesterland, Ohio, Oswego, Illinois, Crown Point, Indiana, Baldwin, Missouri, Maryland Heights, Missouri, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Carbondale, Illinois, Glen Carbon, Illinois, Caseyville, Illinois, and Columbus, Ohio. Not only are they they're all from right here.
Most of them are from the Midwest, yes.
They're all from either Indiana, Missouri, or Illinois, or Ohio, right there.
Yeah.
That's just simple recruiting is all that is, and player development.
Right.
It's recruiting and player development. That's why I have a problem with it. They just go out and say, let's bring in these foreign players. Yep. I've got an issue with it. That doesn't mean it's right, wrong, whatever, but it's my issue. And I don't like it.
Well, there you go. I didn't know if there was, because we talked to Chronic yesterday, and he said it was like watching Indiana play a club team. So I didn't know if there was some. I didn't know how the system works over there. If there was some sort of, they could have played professionally and then came over here. I don't know how any of that stuff works.
That's the issue. That's exactly my issue. The rules and things are over there are way, way different. I mean, you're basically playing a pro team. I call it a bought team. They're a bought team.
There you go. Yeah.
I called it that before. They're bought and paid for. They are. Where Indiana is just, it's Indiana. Soccer. I just have a lot of respect for that program, what they've done, how they get there, how they stay there.
Yeah.
Hard work. Nothing but hard work. So there's that. Got that out of the way. But they play on Sunday at 6:30. So plenty of time. Everything's out of the way. Rested up. Students will be back. Maybe they'll be have a great audience or participation for that. Let's see. The college football playoffs. If I'm going to go on a rant, I might as well keep on going, baby. What a joke.
Stay up on that soapbox.
What a joke this is. How in the hell is LSU at number 5?
Yep.
That's not I want to hear somebody give me a freaking reason on this damn committee on how in the world they can be in front of Tennessee. They both have 2 losses, and Tennessee kicked the ever-loving crap out of LSU.
Well,
so then you've got a USC first and foremost that is 1 loss, 43-42 to Utah, who is ranked and good. That's it. That's their only loss. And who's the other one-loss team?
Clemson.
Isn't there an SEC?
Clemson.
Yeah, I don't care about Clemson. They play in the ACC.
So here's the thing. LSU's number 5. Alabama's number 7. Both of those teams, LSU's ahead of a one-loss USC. Alabama's ahead of a one-loss Clemson. And then number Tennessee, which also has 2 losses, is down at number 10. Tennessee beat both LSU and Alabama. So, I mean, the problem with this is if LSU beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, they're going to be the first 2-loss team to get into the playoff. Now, here's the biggest problem I have with it is that in 2016, Penn State was not granted that same luxury. They beat Ohio State. They won the Big Ten championship game. They had a lot of people are labeling this LSU loss to Florida State in week 1 or week 0, whatever it was, as a fluke loss.
Oh, crap. You don't get fluke losses.
Exactly. In 2016, Penn State had a fluke loss to Pitt and got left on the tarmac. So I'm so
sick of this SEC bias.
I am too. This is exactly why you need expansion, and you need to have some set of rules, because each year the guidelines, the rules, they change. How each team is evaluated changes, and it basically depends on what the SEC is doing.
Who's on the committee that is allowing this SEC bias?
Well, they change the committee all the time. That's part of the problem. You get like senators' terms every 2 years.
And who they have on the committee is an issue. That's half the time. That's a joke. Let's see. College football committee. Probably won't come up, but I'd like to know who all is on this committee. I want to know.
It used to be loaded with people with
More.
SEC and ACC ties. I don't know if that's still
here
the
we
case.
go. Let's see. The chair. Is this accurate? Is Gary Barta still the chair?
No, it's Boo Corrigan. I think that's his name.
Yeah, this must be an old one. This must be an old one as I look down through there, because it's got why would you have somebody on from Virginia Union?
To give an unbiased opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Tyrone Willingham. Get out of here. He was on it. Is he still on it?
This is a great question. I think I found the committee. I don't see his name on here. Mitch Barnhart's one.
Yeah.
John Urschel, who was the former Penn State mathematician guy. Ward Manuel, the AD at Michigan. You can.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. They're not saying where they're from, ironically, but all know Mitch Barnhart is the UK AD. They're making you work a lot harder. All right, that guy's at Wyoming. Either way, I don't care. I want to just ask them, how in the hell do you put LSU in front of USC?
Yeah, see, I stopped listening to it because I stopped watching the rankings show because they cannot give me a good explanation for this stuff.
Well, they don't. Exactly. It's just BS. It's like Indiana football. I asked a question a few weeks ago about, do you think that there's a possibility that there's been a misjudgment of talent? And by that, I mean, look at Dexter Williams, the third, who they've gotten probably the most production out of from not him personally, but the offense with him in it. But he was the 4th selection. He was the 4th choice.
Right.
Why? So, but we got plenty of time to get to all that. We've got the great Bob Kravitz joining us next, so let's waste no more time. We'll get to it. We got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at BB's Market. Make sure you stop by, pick up all the fixings for Thanksgiving or any other time as well, or stay in and have their meal. Man, it's going to be it's a great place to have a bite as well. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or a Cutter, the great. Oh, he's not on. The great Bob Kravitz.
I was just going to get my coffee. How are you, buddy?
Go grab it, my friend.
All right.
I need to get mine too. Bob reminded me.
I saw Lance Leopold extended through 2029.
Okay. We are in a commercial, right?
Yep.
Good. That would be embarrassing then.
Not really. Pretty much par for the course for us. How are you?
Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. Gonna go out and have a nice Thanksgiving. My daughter is hosting her first Thanksgiving tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So wrote about the Pacers today.
I was getting ready. Man, the Pacers, we've been talking about them so much. No tanking, baby.
No, it's a tank-free zone.
No tanking on the dance floor. There you go.
Oh, he's got his shirt on now.
There you go, Dustin.
Good morning, Bob. What, you talking about my Pacer shirt?
Exactly.
No tanking, baby. No tanking on the dance floor.
Tanks a lot.
Yep. No tanks. No tanks. No tanks. No
Happy
tanks.
Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
Same to you guys, by the way.
That's a good one. No tanks. No tanks. That's funny. Yeah, that's damn it.
I know.
We could have been doing this all along, couldn't we have?
Well, it's the funny thing is, I've never seen people rooting for a team to lose that keeps winning. This is kind of like it reminds me of what was exactly what I was thinking. Exactly.
That's a great comparison.
Or the natural, I guess the natural.
Oh man.
30 seconds.
It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back.
Now
that was
the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
All righty, we got all kinds of things going on. Welcome back here on this Wednesday at Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte as well from Outsider.com. And our great friend Bob Kravitz joins us from The Athletic. How are you, sir?
I'm fabulous. Played some golf yesterday.
I was going to ask. I figured it was a beautiful day, 55 degrees out there, man. There's no reason not to.
Absolutely. I thought my clubs were going to be hibernating for the year, but we got one more good day in. It's supposed to be really nice today, but I've got things to do, like work. Yeah.
Ah, dang it. Gets in the way all the time, man.
I know.
Lots going on, though, for it was a great weekend for IU Athletics last weekend. I know I've talked about this a lot with different people, but the men's team picks up 2 wins. Nice win at Xavier. The women's team wins. Indiana up to 11th. They should probably be in the top 10. The women's are number 6. The wrestling team upset number 23 Princeton. The volleyball team goes on the road, knocks off number 5 Ohio State. Soccer wins in the NCAA tournament. and they play again on Sunday. So it's been a great run for IU athletics over the last week.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And you mentioned the football team.
I forgot. That's the one I forgot. One I forgot.
Yeah,
and the big shocking loss over Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching the Purdue game, and we switched over, and it was 24-7 at some point, or 31-7. I said, well, this is going to end the way it always ends, and we zipped back at the very end. It's 31-31. It's like, what in the hell happened here? So that'll teach me for watching Purdue instead. Because that was a miserable game. That was 17-9 over Northwestern. But it makes you think, if they had just taken care of business against a few people, maybe they'd be playing for a chance to play in the bucket or play for a bowl berth. But it is what it is. You are who your record says you are, and they are a 4-win team.
Oh, yeah. I could find 3 games that had they done things differently, Nebraska, Maryland, and Rutgers.
Exactly.
Boom, right there. All 3 of those games are.
If you can't win those games, you don't deserve to be in any bowl whatsoever. So
that's true. That's true.
If you can't take care of business against Rutgers, Nebraska. They got Nebraska right after.
It was the week. It was the week after the coaching change. So that's even the most shocking part.
Yeah. So, but I'll be at the bucket on Saturday. So that should be.
Oh, that will. It actually, I think it is going to be a little more. It's, a week ago, I'm picking Purdue all day and twice on Sunday. Now. You know what? It's a bucket game, first of all, so that changes things. Now Indiana's found a little something that makes them problematic.
Right.
And it actually, even though they are one-dimensional, they're not one-dimensional in that one dimension, at least. Whereas before they were one-dimensional in the passing game, pretty much. Because they weren't very good at it. They were only hitting at or less than 50% of the throws. So with no run support. So now
at least they've got the running game going.
My question to you is: this is Dexter Williams was their 4th selection,
right?
Why when this is the actual guy that's going to end up bringing you the most success probably? Why was he the 4th selection? And there's been a lot of talk about him prior anyway, about his potential, but yet he was the 4th pick. Why? Why was he the 4th selection? I think the staff makes decisions ahead of time, and it gets into their mind, and that's how they see it going through. But
Tom Brady started out as a backup. So I'm just saying, these coaches, we think they know everything, and they don't know squat. And now you tell me, is Dexter Williams the guy next year?
Probably, because unless they have some kind of success in the portal.
Right.
There's no one on this team that's going to beat him in my mind currently that I think, Dustin.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know why Indiana, look, they're not so good to where they're going to be competing for the college football playoff. I don't know why they don't use a 2-quarterback system and try, because if you were to mix in Dexter Williams and what he can do with his legs and add Connor Bazelak into the passing attack, I feel like their offense could have been at least a little bit more problematic. And maybe you win, maybe you don't beat all 3 of those teams, Maryland, Rutgers, and Nebraska, but maybe you win 2, maybe you win just 1, and now you're playing for bowl eligibility. I think that you have to be more unique. You're not going to beat teams at Indiana, at least right now with the talent discrepancy. You're not going to beat teams at their own game. So why not try to be a little bit more interesting? Why not try to be a little bit more creative? Maybe that's what they're doing with Dexter Williams. Maybe that's going to be a plan in the future. After a certain point, I didn't know why they kept, running into the same brick wall because it felt like you need to try something different because you can't run the ball. You don't throw the ball very well. At least try something different. So they found a little spark over the weekend. I'm interested to see what it means on Saturday in the Old Oak and Bucket game because they can potentially, if Nebraska upsets Iowa, they could spoil Purdue's Big Ten West hopes.
Right. And that's the I believe the Nebraska-Iowa game is on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll go into that game knowing what the situation is for Purdue. But Purdue's just a funky team. For a while there, I was thinking they should only have maybe one loss. I mean, they lost to Penn State in the game they shouldn't have lost. They lost to Syracuse in the game they shouldn't have lost. The only game where they've gotten their heads pounded in was Iowa.
Yeah,
I think that was 24-3. But they've been a pretty damn good team all year long.
And they played. What's interesting and what I think might give Indiana a better shot is Purdue's played a lot better when they've played teams with a number beside their name.
Yes.
As opposed to when they play, like you said, Northwestern, it was 17-9. They played some other teams on the schedule. Florida Atlantic comes to mind. They didn't play very well in that game, did enough to win. So they've kind of played up or down to their competition this year. So that's something to keep an eye on Saturday.
Absolutely.
The Colts and the Jeff Saturday experience is 1-1 right now. And actually, they were very close to making it not only 2-0, but a very, very impressive 2-0 because they've been able to knock off that one-loss Philadelphia team. That would have not only been extraordinarily impressive, it may have put Indianapolis in a position to consider the possibility of a wild card spot.
Right.
But it didn't happen. Are they still trending better under Jeff Saturday than they were?
Well, they you see a little more energy. They're playing a little bit better. The problem is they didn't have a left tackle or a right guard when Frank Reich was here, and they still don't have a left tackle or a right guard now that Saturday is here. And there's a reason why other sports you can bring in an interim, and sometimes the guy gives you a little boost, and you can turn your season around. It doesn't happen in football. I mean, Rich Bisaccia got them to 7-5 last year after Gruden got run, but that is really rare. I mean, you look at the numbers, the records for interim coaches, and it's pretty miserable. If you're bad before the coaching change, you're going to be bad afterwards. So, and they have a brutal schedule coming up after this Pittsburgh game. So, I don't see this thing turning around. I think it's going to be more of the same as we move forward.
Well,
go ahead.
We've seen a little bit of a different energy on the field, and I think at least from my perspective, sitting on my couch as a fan, it's at least it's been more entertaining to watch than the previous couple weeks. But I'm curious to know what's kind of been the players' response, the assistant coaches' response to all this. I mean, it was a big hubbubaloo in the media with this, everybody making a big deal out of, Jim Irsay hiring one of his buddies to come be the interim head coach. But how has it been received in the locker room or among assistant coaches? Has there been a lot of friction there, or is everybody been pretty open to what's happening?
But what they say, what they say publicly and what they think privately are two different things.
Sure.
Publicly, they are saying all the right things and giving Jeff credit for them playing a little bit better, et cetera, et cetera. Believe me, there are a lot of players and a lot of coaches who were outraged, especially coaches who were passed over for this interim job. Now they're being professionals and they're doing the right thing and they're saying the right things, but what they think with the tape recorder in front of them and what they think and say in their private moments around their wives or girlfriends or whomever, that's a completely different ballgame.
Right.
I mean, isn't there some, I doubt that this was the thought, but thought that the Jim Irsay said, all right, well, screw it. The season's over.
They're 3-1. At the
they
time,
look like
they're playing terrible.
But yeah, I was just saying they look like crap.
Yeah, they looked terrible offensively, but they were 3-3-1 when he pulled the plug, if I'm not mistaken, or 3-4-1.
And like I said, had they gotten that win over Philadelphia, that changes things hugely, but they didn't. So I don't think Jeff Saturday is going to be the guy going forward.
I don't either. I don't either. I think once they do their due diligence and follow the dictates of the Rooney Rule, they're going to find a lot of really, really good people out there. Now, here's the question. If you're a big name coach, a Sean Payton, let's say, do you want to come to Indianapolis? You don't have a quarterback, and you've got an owner who is suddenly acting out, who is suddenly dictating who you can start a quarterback. That is a real problem, and that's something that
I don't think he would do that with Sean though. I think that if that was the case, I think there was a little bit too much friendship with Frank Reich and Irsay, maybe, that they were, I don't want to say too close, but Frank Reich was such a likable guy. I don't know. I just think that if you bring him in, that Irsay would leave him alone. And I think you'd have reason
to. But you still don't have a quarterback. Sean Payton, look, even if you say to Sean Payton, yeah, we'll leave you alone, let you do what you want, you still don't have a quarterback.
Spend the money, baby.
So
on who? Somebody will be available, you would think.
Yeah, keep kicking the can down the road.
Kicking the can down the road. Go in the draft and get your guy.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think then that's going to require trading up or making trades or doing something, because they're
agreed. That's what good organizations do.
What would be interesting to me, Bob, is on that same level about people wanting the Colts job. It makes me wonder. Look, I personally don't have a problem with the Jeff Saturday hire, but there have been a lot of people that have voiced they do have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So is there going to be a coach that says, I'm not going to work for Jim Irsay after he pulled the stunt he pulled, maybe more so than the staff? I mean, I don't know if that would be a real thought process or not, but I have to think that for a guy like Sean Payton, who's won a Super Bowl, doesn't really have, I mean, it's not like he has something else out there to prove. Right. To me, that could be a factor.
Well, I think the real factor is that this owner was dictating who the quarterback is going to be, and there is not one coach that I can think of. I mean, I know these guys are desperate for one of 32 jobs.
Yeah,
but if you're a good prospect as a head coach, do you really want to walk into a situation like this? Yeah. Where the owner is making these emotional, impetuous moves with whether it's Carson Wentz or Sam Ehlinger or Matt Ryan? I don't. Who's going to come here? I don't know. Certainly not Sean Payton.
Right.
Moving on to the Pacers. Bob's got a piece out today in the Athletic that you need to take a look at. The Pacers. Bob suggested, a lot of us had thought that they would be throwing in the towel so they could have a high draft pick without having the superstars, but they have conveniently said no tanks, Bob. No tanks. No tanks.
Tanks a lot. I mean, yeah, I said I came for a tankathon and ended up watching a revelatory season. I mean, they're 10-6. Now they got a couple of home games coming up here this week. And then they go on the road for, I think, 7 games on the West Coast, 6 or 7 games. And it's all the best teams out West. And that's going to be brutal. And I do think water will find its level. But, hell, if they could just stay around 500, that would be one incredible, success story for the Indiana Pacers. I thought they would be a 22-25 win team. I thought they would be a hot mess. And they have been extraordinary. I mean, they are, I think, 3rd in the league in 3-point percentage. They're 5th in the league in scoring. I mean, they've gone from a bad, boring, uninspired team to one of the most exciting young teams in the league. They've got 8 guys in their rotation who are 23 or younger.
I say this every week, multiple times. They're so fun to watch. And the thing that stood out to me, now Houston is obviously not a good team, but for them to score 10 points in the first quarter, and for as young as they are, I thought when I was watching that game, I thought this is gonna be a 40-point loss.
Right.
They just don't have it tonight. They're going to throw it in, and that happens over the course of an 82-game season. For them to bounce back and to win, not only be competitive but win that game, that showed me a lot about the resiliency. The one thing I think I agree with you on, Bob, is water finding its level, and maybe not so much in terms of the talent, but this is a team that they have not played an 82-game schedule together, and it's going to be very new for a lot of these players. So I think there's going to be some leveling off at some point because an 82-game schedule is quite a grind. It's right. Easy in the first 25, 30 games, but when you start putting stuff on tape, when people know who to defend, what your habits are, and then just the course of an 82-game season, I think that's where you'll start to see maybe the Pacers do a little bit of a drop-off.
Right. Well, you talked about resilience. Chris Denari gave me this stat the other day because Chris keeps track of everything. And he said last year they won 5 games after having been down by 10 points or more. Okay, they were like 5-46 or something like that. This year already, they have won 6 games.
Wow.
When they've trailed by 10 or more during the course of a game. So This is a team that is very resilient, that's tough-minded, and they get down and it doesn't seem to faze them. So I think that's a really, really cool stat.
Yeah, they take on Minnesota Timberwolves next, Karl Anthony Towns in that group. Then they welcome the Brooklyn Nets, and that's a big game on Friday. And then, like you said, a 7-game road swing that takes them across the western part of the United States. I mean, it's that is a tough schedule.
Yeah.
You go to the Clippers, then the Lakers, then the Kings, then the Jazz, then to Portland, then back to the Warriors, and then to the Timberwolves before coming back home December 9th.
December 9th, exactly. So, I mean, look, if you can go 3-4 somehow on that trip, you take it, you walk, and you say, thank you very much. That's going to be it. I mean, it's funny, the worst teams in that group are probably the Lakers and the Warriors.
Exactly.
I mean, Utah's playing great. Minnesota, I don't know about Minnesota, but Utah's playing great. Sacramento, talk about a trade that helped both teams. Halliburton for Sabonis, they're like 9-6 or 10-6, something like that. They're playing really well. So it's going to be a real challenging trip out west for sure.
Then Indiana men's basketball team has the game tonight and Friday night as well. Their last 2, what I would call warm-up games.
Right.
This is part of the Hoosier Classic, I think. Little Rock tonight, Jacksonville State on Friday, and then next Wednesday, baby,
I'll be there.
Real and gets real fast. So Indiana gets to warm up tonight with Little Rock and Jacksonville State on Friday before it gets
numero uno.
It gets big time. North Carolina, and it's not just that. We just talked about this tough Pacer schedule. Indiana's schedule from that point. They play North Carolina. They play Arizona in Las Vegas. They play Kansas in Kansas. They just played at Xavier. So they're going to have a nice, a good pre-conference get ready for the Big Ten season, because the Big Ten is going to be a lot tougher than I think national people had thought up till now, because when we started the season, there was only 3 teams ranked, which I was like, are you kidding me? Because Illinois and Michigan were in the low 20s with Indiana up there. Well, now there's 6 teams this just 2 weeks into the season. So a lot of respect, but the Big Ten is going to be extraordinarily tough. Michigan State is going to be tough. Purdue is going to be tough. I don't know about Ohio State yet, but we've seen what Illinois can do. Although they took a loss to Virginia, but they also beat UCLA. So it's a tough league. And while Indiana's been listed as one of the favorites, this is going to be a tough road to hoe, baby.
Yeah, and look, we'll find out what they're all about as they play the North Carolinas and the Arizonas and the Kansases. You know, I think we got a little bit of a view of them against Xavier. I mean, Xavier, they weren't ranked, if I remember correctly. But
No, they were not.
A good team that always plays.
It was a raucous environment. It was a great environment for Indiana to play in. They had a great student section, nice little intimate arena. So it was a great early season environment.
Yeah, good challenge for them, and they played well enough to win. But we're going to need to see more.
Oh, and we will starting Wednesday. I mean, that is going to be as ultimate as the test as you can get. Not only is North Carolina the number one ranked team, they're the reigning national champions, but they also reloaded. They added the Nance kid from Northwestern,
right?
And it's I haven't seen North Carolina play. I've seen results. They seem like they have not gotten to their potential yet, but that doesn't mean jack. We'll find out on Wednesday. But man, Indiana is going to have the advantage of that home court advantage.
The only issue, the only issue is it's past my bedtime.
Well, that's going to be a
game for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and guess what? That means you are going to get home so late that night.
I'm going to get a hotel. That's what I'm doing.
But when people like Bob come to the game, I get booted out of my good seat. Back up to
I told Keg, I said, I don't need a seat at the game. If you want, I'll sit in the press box and watch it on TV, and you can give it to somebody else. I did. I didn't say specifically give it to Jim Coyle, but
I would, and I'm not talking about you. It won't be just you. Rick's on with us today too. He'll be another one that'll be there. The big timers, these big. Boy, they come swinging in, and it's like, oh, back we go. We get swatted like flies. I'm just kidding, as we should, because
at least you're handling it well.
Hey, it's to the greats, baby. What do you do? I mean, what else would you expect? So Indiana basketball up till now, what have you seen? Well,
I've been pretty impressed. Renault, who I kept saying Renault because that's the car, and I like the Renault. Renault's been good. Look, I think this whole season comes down to Xavier Johnson. I just think if he can keep his head right and keep his game right, I think they can be as good as they want to be. They can be a top 10, top 15 team all season long. If he's not on top of his game, then I think they've got some issues. But I really feel like Xavier is. We saw how well he played late in the season last year. And so, I mean, feel free to disagree. You watch them a hell of a lot more than I do, but I've just always felt like this team comes down to Xavier.
Well, there's no doubt that that's not important. For me, what I think is I've seen a lack of consistent production from the starters. Each one of these games, 2 or 3 of the starters have had really bad shooting games, which that's great that your team can overcome that because that shows depth and a lot of other things. But as long as that does not continue throughout the season, because you're going to need those guys to be consistently producing, at least at a moderate level. If you're not, you're going to lose some games that you didn't expect to lose, I think.
Yeah, and you always got to worry about their perimeter shooting. Although Miller Kopp's been pretty good.
60% so far.
62%.
So, yeah, good for him. And we'll see how that continues. Indiana has not shot the ball poorly. As about from the field, they're killing it, but that's because they're killing people in the paint right now.
Right.
Trace Jackson-Davis has truly been a monster, an unstoppable monster. I mean, he's like Godzilla, scoring at will. But his his moves have got, his footwork has gotten so much better. His touch around the basket is really, really good. I mean, people want to talk about not having a jump shot. You know what? If he can continue doing what he's doing, he doesn't really need a jump shot that much.
Well, let me say this about Trace. You know, everybody looks at these players and says, how will he look at the pro level? Does he have the skills to be an NBA, rotation guy? I'm at a point where I just think you need to appreciate what the college career that this guy has had. You know what I mean? And will he be a great pro? Will he be any kind of pro? I don't know. I mean, look at Romeo Langford. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to go to that next level. And I don't know that he's going to be able to do that. But damn, this guy's had a great college career. And I think people need to just appreciate where he's at right now.
I think we've gotten to a point where everybody looks for the thing to complain about in things instead of the positive sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
Bob Kravitz is not guilty of that.
No, I just look, do I think he's going to be the kind of pro player that he wants to be? Not until he develops some kind of an outside shot. But he's more than good enough at the college level, and God bless him. He's going to get his degrees, and he's going to be ready to go out in the world. And maybe he plays in the NBA, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he plays overseas. But you know what? Playing overseas is a pretty good gig if that's where he wants to go.
It ain't bad. We'll certainly find out. Bob Kravitz, let's see. What's up next for you?
I'm working on a Ben Matherin piece. Which
now, is it Ben Matherin or is it Matern?
Benedict Matherin.
See, I was told it was Matern.
Yeah,
no, Matherin.
I'm gonna call him out. Dustin DePuric came on and said it's Matern, and I've been saying it's not correct.
That is not correct. Dustin Doperak.
I'm gonna get.
That's the way you say it now, Doperak.
Do you know when I first started having him on the show a couple of years ago, I did call him Dustin Doperak, I think.
Doperak.
Before I was corrected, but he didn't correct me for a while. Someone else ended up correcting me. I'm like,
that's
really?
Funny. Well, he's such a nice guy. He doesn't want to make waves.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask Chris Denari. Next time we have him on. Denari. see, there we go. Denari. Nevada.
If you watch the games, that's how he pronounces it. It's Matherin.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Then Dustin Doperak doesn't know what he's talking about.
Exactly.
We'll tell him that.
He's only a beat guy now.
Bob, I got to ask Bob because I've been trying to squeeze this question in with all of our guests. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side or dessert?
Stuffing with sausage. My wife
3 for 3 on stuffing.
My wife makes stuffing with some sausage, and it is to die for.
Now, see, that sounds good. That's the first stuffing I've heard good. That's the first stuffing.
Yeah, mac and cheese can't go wrong there.
But that's the first stuffing that I've heard that I'm like, ooh, that does sound good. Yeah, Bob, I appreciate you, brother.
Guys,
happy Thanksgiving to you and the Thanksgiving, you as well, to you and your family, buddy. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay.
Or Saturday. Saturday.
Yes, I'll be there.
We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. We're brought to you by our good folks at GoTeam, part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to the Apple app or Google Play Store, sign up for the WOW Club, start earning WOW rewards today. And we're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Golfers, here's a deal you won't want to pass up.
So do y'all just want to do like a really short segment before Kyle comes on, or just kind of work him into this?
Yep. No, that'll be fine. Just tell me the amount of time we have.
I mean, like 2-3 minutes for a segment.
Well, we'll do a I can either just go straight into Kyle and do a short segment. Well, we'll work it out.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Missed out on the comments here. Okay, what do you mean they won't be able to hire Saturday or Peyton because of the Rooney Rule? That just says you have to interview people. You don't have to hire anybody.
So Jennifer said the question you saw on Twitter was there was a thing about what's the best feeling in the world, and I said when somebody enjoys your cooking. Is that the tweet?
Oh yes! Oh my God! Yes. We'll save that for the end.
Okay.
And Joe, the producer, that's when we'll try to make up for it. But if we don't, it doesn't matter today. It doesn't.
Okay.
We're good.
Oh, by the way, Kyle is going to be driving, so he's going to be off camera, just kind of talking from what I've heard. So.
All right. Well, I'll probably end up making his a quick segment, and we'll get out of that and make up for it.
All right, 20 seconds till we come back.
Honda certified pre-owned Accord, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and Pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day, pre-Turkey Day. Jim Coyle and Dustin Schutte with you here on this Wednesday, brought to you by our good friends at Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Great supporter of Indiana Sports Beat and a big fan of IU athletics. We appreciate Cheryl. As we wait for Kyle Neddenriep is next, I see that they have basically, where are Indiana boys basketball players now? I've just looked at the first page that I don't even know how many are on this first page. There's got to be 30. I don't even know how many pages they have, though. 5 pages. 5 pages of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, this has probably got 40 people on a page. So it's probably 200 current Indiana high school basketball players and exactly where they are. Pretty cool.
Speaking of that,
Luke Brown at Stetson, not alone, baby. He's got 2 other teammates, including Jalen Blackman there.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Vermont has 2 guys from Evansville, Memorial, and Harrison. Let's see.
Here's a name that I heard the other night. Now this isn't a recent high school player, but Gary Harris, playing for the Orlando Magic. I didn't know he was still in the league. Went to Michigan State out of Indiana.
Yeah, that's one that got away.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know this. Xavier has 2 guys on its roster from the same high school. Jack Nungy and Bob Nungy, his brother. I'll be damned. I missed that.
I didn't know. Okay, well, I learned something.
I did not know that.
Nope.
But yeah, I'm on the last page now. This is going to be very interesting. I'm going to have fun going over this thing. The first page popped up and the first name listed, kid from Floyd Central. I love to see that. That's a good omen. My alma mater, Jake Heidbreder. He's at Air Force, a sophomore at Air Force. But man, Akron, Alabama State, App State, Army, Noah Jagers at Army. It just Ball State, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the one. Okay. I've talked about Bellarmine, and I'm definitely going to get Scotty Davenport on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 former Indiana high school basketball players on the Bellarmine roster now.
Wow.
9. Right now, 9.
Wow.
That is mind-boggling. Jalen Fairman from Jeffersonville, Jason Betts from Providence.
I'm gonna
Landon
need to
Hacker,
go through
Center Grove, Pete Suter from Carmel, Langdon Hatton from North Harrison down there, Sam Duvalt from Evansville Memorial, Zach Reed from Brebeuf Jesuit, Drew Comer from Greensburg, Kurt Hopp from Bar Reeve. And Bellarmine is the best Division I program in the city of Louisville right now.
Yeah.
They've played all these tough teams. They played them close. They beat Louisville. They played Duke close.
Let me tell you, I think I'm going to have to go through and look at the A-Sun and see how many players from Indiana, because you just talked about Stetson, Bellarmine. I'm interested now because that's
Musa Jallows down in Charlotte. Rob Finney, of course. He's from Indiana originally. He's over at Cincinnati. I'm trying to see if any other big ones' names popping out that you may have known. FAU. That's our good friend, Coach Dusty May.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he doesn't have more. Maybe they do. I don't know. That does surprise me. Luke Goody over at Illinois. Incarnate World. They've got a couple. It's funny. All these teams, man, they know Indiana's the place to go.
Well, Incarnate Word, I think, if they're coached by Carson Cunningham still, he was a former Purdue guy, so there's some connections there too.
But yeah, just a ton. But good to see this. Let's see what else. I want to make sure. Your favorite movie. What was your favorite Thanksgiving movie?
So it's not necessarily a Thanksgiving movie. It's a movie that you watch during Thanksgiving break. So mine is Son-in-Law, which does have a Thanksgiving theme. But I've seen a lot of people say Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Some people say they break out.
That's a great one.
Some people have said Christmas Vacation. They break that out. I feel like there's another one that I'm missing here that was pretty common. But those were the two most popular: Christmas Vacation and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But if you haven't seen Son-in-Law, is I still laugh at that movie every time I watch it.
It's hard to get through Pauly Shore. I'm going to be honest with you. A little Pauly Shore goes a long way, but his mother owned, if she doesn't, maybe still does, the Comedy Store in Hollywood, in West Hollywood. That's the connection. Yeah.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. Yes. So there's that connection. But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, go on to the Indy Star. Check out this list. This is awesome. Don't think I'm not going to be saving this. This is pretty cool. Nigel Pack, of course, at Miami of Florida. Miami of Ohio, who Indiana just played, had 3 from the state. Makai Larry, who played very well. That Larry kid shot the ball well from Bossy. Ryan Mabry from La Lemire, and Billy Smith, who went to Brebeuf on that Miami of Ohio team. Missouri has 3 guys. Sean East. Oh, Sean East from New Albany. Still playing. My God. He played with Romeo Langford.
Wow. Well,
my boy Majak, remember him from Hamilton Southeasterns at Missouri? Morehead State, who Indiana played, had a couple of guys, Alex Gross and Julian Norris on that program from the state of Indiana. North Carolina. Hello. Jalen Washington from Gary Westside on the North Carolina roster. So there's that. I continue to look down through here. Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Purdue. All right, here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of their players. Now that's probably of 17, including walk-ons, but 10 of their players are from Indiana. Mason Gillis, Caleb First, Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Brandon Newman, Brian Waddell, Matt Frost, Sam King, and Carson Barrett. That's the last one. Yep. Seton Hall, Dre Davis, Ty Davis. It's just amazing. You don't know where these guys end up.
And it's always funny, like, in the moment where they're going, because it usually there's recruiting battles that are happening. So you usually know in the moment, but then after a year, 2 years, you just don't even think about it. So then you bring it back up. And then this is the kind of stuff that's always interesting to me too.
Connor Esigian on Wisconsin's team. He's a freshman from Fort Wayne, freshman guard on that squad. So, the state of Indiana is always greatly represented. But yeah, I got to keep that thing, man. And that's some great information. I think Kyle's having some technical difficulties today, which is fine. Just wish him a happy Thanksgiving and let him go about his day. But I'm still just enthralled with this list here, man.
Going through it.
Well, it's just great having that at hand. I'm always wondering that. So often you wonder where are these guys, and then it takes you got to have some interns to put that stuff together, baby. The Star has a lot more interns than we do, so they just said, "Hey, here's a list. I need you to compile this." So they put that together.
What a great idea!
So what's your favorite turkey or your Thanksgiving meal, Mr.
My
Thanksgiving?
favorite Thanksgiving side would be probably, I'm a big macaroni and cheese guy. So I would say mac and cheese. I like mashed potatoes and gravy. I love it all, but I think if I had to pick a favorite, I'm huge on mac and cheese. Here's my take. I hate stuffing. I think it tastes terrible.
I thought you were all been a fan of it. You've been all. I'm not either. Nope. I don't like it either.
I'm just trying not to ruffle feathers with Mike DeCourcy or Bob Kravitz. That's all I'm trying to do. But notice that we've had 3 guests I've asked about this, and all of them have said stuffing.
I see. I don't get that. And yesterday, the comments. Oh, I've left this one up so long. I'm sorry. I apologize. Feel free to take those down, Joe, if I forget. The cheese ball.
Oh,
okay. Yes. If the cheese ball is so damned good, why is it only had twice a year? Where do you go to events that you see a cheese ball other than Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Well, we used to have it also at Easter.
Okay. 3 whole times a year. If it's such a big, cool,
it is.
Why don't people eat them more?
Hold on. Okay. Here would be my counter to that. Do you like pumpkin pie?
Yes. And I eat it outside of
Oh, you're lying. There's no chance that's true.
If it's available, I would. That's not true.
You are eating pumpkin pie in the middle of summer.
If it's made, I would.
No. You are. This is.
Pumpkin pie is good.
First of all, I don't care. Well, if you drench it in Cool Whip, then it's delicious. But
oh God, you just never had a good one. Stop buying stuff at the store, man.
I'm not making a pumpkin pie.
You don't have to make it, but have one that's made in a bakery. No, go to BB's.
Oh, they make pumpkin pie. All right, I would try it.
They make everything, man. Are you kidding me? Their stuff is just incredible, top notch. That's the one thing when I go to BB's, I try to stay away from is the bakery, because you look fine. And I look at that stuff and I gain 5 pounds, man. It's no joke. It's no, there's no cheap ingredients in that stuff. It's the good stuff.
You know what I love is I actually enjoy the pumpkin rolls. Like it's got the cream cheese or whatever, the swirls in there. That stuff's good. But the pumpkin pie is too much pumpkin for me.
Oh, that's just I don't even know how to respond to that. Too much pumpkin. Never heard of such a thing. Pete says the question is, what has happened to Pauly Shore? Never seen.
I don't know.
Well, it's because he was not very talented. Seriously, his mom owned the Comedy Store. I think he got some breaks out of that, and then not having talent kind of comes back to catch you. Ed says Arizona looked impressive last night.
Yes, they did.
Who did they play? I did not see that. I missed that tweet you sent out. I planned to watch. I ended up going to the Tom Allen show and getting home later than I wanted. Then I forgot. Was doing other stuff. Didn't see a damn game.
The Arkansas Creighton game was absolutely incredible. Those are two really good teams. And then we had San Diego State played Arizona, and Arizona looked really. They can get out in transition. They are a fun team to watch.
Hey, Kyle Neddenriep jumping on real quick. Kyle, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Can you hear me?
Just like a dream. Sounds like a dream. I was talking earlier about the list you guys put out that is so cool to have of where all the Indiana basketball players are right now. I mean, I'm like, there has to be like 200 players in that list.
Yeah, I don't even know how many for sure there are. I think we did my boss, Matt Glenesk, I think, put all that together again this year. And I think he did a girls one or a women's edition of that as well. So, yeah, I was going through that this morning. It's kind of fun to see, you forget about certain names, or you're like, man, Bellarmine's got a lot of Indiana kids,
That's the one that jumped out to me, Kyle. That's what I was going to ask you about. I'm not surprised because I know Scotty Davenport, and I know that when they were Division II and winning those championships, he used a lot of Indiana guys for that then. But I was shocked to see that. I was like, wow. I started counting. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, over half their roster is from Indiana, but he's smart.
He is smart, and a few of those guys are walk-ons, but even still, it's impressive that, he's recruited the state like he has. And man, Pete Suter, who played at Carmel, I covered him for 4 years, and he has stepped right in, and he's starting and playing really well. And I watched him play against Louisville and Duke, and he looks like a guy who's just ready-made, and he when they play against teams like that, he looks like he belongs, which I'm not surprised by, but it just goes to say, how well they had him, scouted coming out of high school. And really they play a fun style of basketball. They just move the ball so well and just have pieces who kind of all fit together really well. So kudos to him on building that program like he has. But yeah, it's that kind of stuck out just because that's on the first page as you're looking at it. But there's a lot of names in there, and especially with COVID, you're like, man, that guy's still playing college basketball from 2015. It seems like, just kind of a strange situation with that too. But yeah, it's always fun to go through that and see who's where and how they're doing.
Absolutely. And 9 players, but he has the number 1 team, Division I basketball team in the city of Louisville right now. And that's saying something considering that the Cardinals are there. He beat Louisville. They've played these other. Their season has been. I need to pull their schedule up. The teams that they have played has been pretty stellar. They just played Duke. For one thing, that is, they played Louisville. Are you kidding me? UCLA, UK, get out of here. Wow.
Help their RPI or whatever they're going by now, whatever metric it's called.
Duke, Clemson, Louisville. See, they lost to Duke 74-57. They lost to Clemson 76-66. That's a great deal because that was on the road. They beat Louisville. They lost to Morehead State 62-55, a team that Indiana beat handedly. But that's a schedule there, baby. Duke, Clemson, Louisville, Kentucky, whoever else I said a minute ago.
Yeah, it's a good lineup. And that's a program just basically transitioning right now to D1. So, kudos to them for, hey, let's go play the best. They'll play us, so we might as well go play them. And, I think watching them play a little bit against Louisville, it looks like they'll struggle some against teams that really are going to get up and pressure you a lot. I think that's probably where that's probably like a lot of teams that are at that level, but they're just not super athletic at the guard position and not super big either. So they're going to have to rely on skill and really hit outside shots, which they do, to beat some of those teams or hang with them. But yeah, I really, his style of basketball is fun to watch. Obviously knows what he's doing. And, having been in that Bellarmine gym a few times, it's kind of cool to see how they're making this transition to D1.
Well, yeah, because as I was scrolling through their schedule, there's a picture of from their campus that I'm very familiar with because used to drive by it a lot when I lived down in that area, being from Southern Indiana. But what cracks me up is it's a picture down from the lower portion of where their athletic fields are. And I used to play I played baseball on their baseball field for JV games against like St. X or Trinity when we played those teams. And so it just amazes me how they have grown from then to now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's you see that with some of these D2 programs going D1 and USI, Southern Indiana, they're also making that transition. And, some of those programs are better set up than some of the ones that have been D1, for quite a while. And I've told kids in the past, it's like if you go to a league that's got schools like Bellarmine and USI and UIndy, in there, you're probably better off than going to some D1 that they're just taking, that seems a little bit more haphazard just to play D1, because some of those D2 leagues are really, really good and the programs are better than D1 programs. But some of those now are starting to make the jump. We're seeing more and more of that.
Where are you headed this fine day before Thanksgiving?
I'm actually headed to Whiteland football practice. They're practicing this morning, actually down at Lucas Oil. So I'm going to doing a story on their football coach, Darren Fisher, who they're making the state finals for the first time in their school history. Talked to him the other day, but just going to catch some of the players as well today. So they I think they get an hour on the field today. So just a chance to kind of see what it's like and get out there on the turf and in front of nobody, but at least get a chance to get out there and feel what it's like a little bit.
Yeah, and the weather's not as bad, so getting an outside practice today is kind of unique.
Well, they're actually in the dome, so they get a chance. This is kind of their opportunity. They get an hour, I think. I think every team, you get an hour or so to get out on the field today, and then probably go back to tomorrow. Practice. I know Center Grove. They do a big Thanksgiving morning practice and they bring back all their alumni. Of course, they're used to doing this every year now. So I think that's Eric Moore's favorite day of the year is Thanksgiving, not for meal reasons or anything, because he gets to bring back all his alumni players from back in the in the day. So he was already talking about that after the game the other night. But yeah, so I think today's the day, and maybe they're splitting it up between today and yesterday, but at least get a chance to get out and run around on the turf today.
Who's so far in this early college basketball season? What Indiana player is having the best season?
Boy, I've been so into my own stuff with high schools. I haven't seen a whole lot. Like I said, Pete Suter at Bellarmine he's off to a great start. I know. Haven't seen them a couple times. I saw a little bit of Tayshawn Comer at Cathedral. He's playing for Eastern Kentucky, and they played a couple of D1, not D1, high major programs. They played Xavier. And I know he's playing pretty well to start out, trying to rack my brain. And of course, the IU guys, but probably Braden Smith's been, I think is surprising people what he's doing at Purdue, but not surprising me or people who saw him in high school necessarily. But I don't know if people really expected him to do what he's doing already. I'm sure there's other, I'd have to go through and look real close. I haven't had a whole lot. Hopefully he's going to be able to do that after this week a little bit more.
And then where are you headed now? What do you got going for this Thanksgiving holidays?
Well, like I said, I'm going down to Lucas Oil this morning to see Whiteland practice, and then was out at saw Ben Davis and Fishers play last night in basketball, so got a little bit of basketball in, but yeah, it'll be mostly football this weekend.
Well, you got plenty going on, man, and make sure you give Kyle Neddenriep a follow because he's going to have all of it for you. Appreciate you, brother, and let you get back out to safe travels, and a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
All right, same to you, Jim. Thank you.
You bet. Kyle Neddenriep from Indy Star joining us here on the Indiana Sports Beat. We've got more coming up with the great one. Rick Bozich joins us next. If you're in the market for a home in the southern Indiana, Louisville area, southern Indiana, Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Scott counties, all down through there, Barbara Pop Real Estate Services has served that community for 3 decades, and there's no one that can get you in the home quicker or more inexpensively than Barbara Pop Real Estate Services. Reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com or my man Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com. We're back with the Hall of Famer Rick Bozich after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Man, this show is going too damn fast today.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. What's going on, guys?
Not much. How are you?
We're just rolling along, man.
Do you have to actually watch this Louisville basketball team for the entirety of the season, Rick? Wow. Dear God.
Yeah, I've been to the red-white scrimmage. I've been to both exhibition games. I went to the 3 home games, and I watched the 2 games in Maui. Ruby,
can't you send Gonzalez to that stuff, man? Isn't that what he's for?
I just don't even know what you would talk or write about. They're not going to win 2 games.
How much of them have you watched? Which games have you seen?
I watched a little bit of the atrocity yesterday because I was hoping they would be held to under 25 points. I think I watched their second game. I haven't watched every game. The
second game was Wright State, which got beat last night by UC Riverside.
Yes, I watched that one because John, the producer, texted me and he was like, Louisville's about to lose again.
I mean, the Arkansas game, I don't know if you saw the second half, but there was one stretch where Arkansas had at least 5 straight dunks.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The talk, I can't listen to the radio. It's so hateful.
I can imagine. But see, what do they expect? They're at welcome to what Indiana went through in whatever year that was, 2009,
2008-09.
Yeah, this is the Indiana 08-09 joy. But the thing is, Louisville deserves this. And I'm going to say this. They deserve this because they're not going to get jack squat for the massive cheating for being one of the most cheatingest programs in the history of college sports. They walk basically for committing murder while being on probation for committing murder.
They, as Eric said yesterday, would have been better off getting the death penalty.
Yes.
They would have been.
298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this pre-Thanksgiving Wednesday. Hope everyone's prepared, ready to eat, do whatever. I am. I know that Dustin is. That's all he's been talking about. You know what? Before I forget, get it out of the way. Ask him. Go ahead.
Okay, Rick. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side or dessert?
Thanksgiving side is probably like a green bean casserole, if I had to guess.
There we go. I'm with that.
Thanksgiving dessert, I'm fine with pumpkin pie. I'm okay with that. I'm going to actually come up with some kind of going to my daughter's house tomorrow. I might bring like a nice fruit tart pie. They've got them at Whole Foods. So if I can brave the crowds at Whole Foods, I've already been to one grocery store this morning and it was insanity. So I might have to tough it out at Whole Foods later on.
So you're not going to make it. No scratch, made from scratch. Good Rick Bozich. What nationality is Bozich?
Serbian.
What's a Serbian dessert?
That would be like a strudel, a good apple strudel, or
that sounds good.
My grandmother used to make these really good, what we called egg fluff cookies. They were like made out of egg whites with like a pecan on the top. Or my grandmother actually was good at making a good nut roll, and she also made a Greek pastry called baklava. So
baklava, yeah.
Baklava. Whatever.
I've never had baklava. I've heard of it, but I've never had it.
It's excellent. It's very sweet.
I've heard of that. As a matter of fact, the first time I heard it, I think, was on The Office. Stanley. I only eat baklava.
It's got a lot of honey in it, and some small ground up nuts and a real flaky pastry, layered pastry. It's good.
I was just talking, and I still have it pulled up. The Indy Star put out a list of where are the Indiana boys basketball players now. This thing's got to be 200 deep. It's a very handy tool to have. Purdue doesn't surprise me with the 46 guys from Indiana that they have on their roster. But I'll tell you, do you know who is in second? Right there with them is Bellarmine. I think they have 8 players from Indiana.
Yes, they do. Scott Davenport loves Indiana players because A, he knows they're well coached, and B, he knows they play in games with lots of fans there, and they're good at dealing with crowds and things like that, and they've got a passion for basketball. So yeah, he's got, I'm trying to think, it's 2 or 3 starters. He got the kid from Forest Park, Kurt Hopf, who was a 6'8" or 6'9" kid, and then he's got Pete Suter, the freshman from Carmel, who's been, I heard Kyle at the end of his segment, Pete Suter started for them and been a good player. He's going to be a really good player.
Yeah. Well, when Scotty was playing for and winning Division II national championships, he's doing the same thing. He had the kid from Miami, kid from Providence, kids from Indiana mixed in.
They got 3 starters from Indiana because they got Justin Betts is from Providence. So they got 3 starters from Indiana.
Amazing. But yeah, so there's a lot that can be done, and I've pointed this out all week. They're the top Division I team in the city of Louisville.
Well, they did beat Louisville, and they gave Duke a good game, and they gave Clemson a good game. And I think they were on a 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. flight this morning to the West Coast. They're playing Loyola Marymount, I think tomorrow or Friday. Then they play UCLA on Sunday. They're taking a red eye back, and then they're playing Kentucky on Tuesday.
Yeah, and how about that schedule they have? Nobody has a tougher pre-conference schedule than they do.
It's fearless, and he uses it as a great recruiting tool. The only unfortunate thing for Bellarmine is this year and next year, unless something miraculous happens, they still can't play in the NCAA tournament, even if they win the
horse
ACC
crap
tournament again. Yeah, it's unfair.
I don't even understand why that's a rule. Like, it would make sense to me if you went from D1 to D2 because maybe there's a talent discrepancy there, but going from D2 to D1, it's got to be the most asinine rule. And I'm talking about the NCAA here. It's got to be one of the most
the way it was explained to me was that they were concerned that there were D2 programs that were going to upgrade to D1 because they thought they had a good team, but really didn't have the financial stability or wherewithal to sustain the program. And then after they did it for a year or two and got in the tournament, they were going to go back down to D2, and they wanted to make sure any program that really did this had their finances in order and had their commitment at the level they needed to be and be serious about it. So that's the way it was explained to me.
I mean, that makes sense, but I feel like there could be some sort of record keeping that rather than just, hey, you can't make the tournament for 4 years.
I agree. Louisville, everybody's gone to bat for them, but nothing's changed.
Shocking.
Louisville, Clemson, Duke, LMU, UCLA, then Kentucky. They're going to be more than ready for a conference play.
They got one of them already. I mean, they got Louisville, and it wasn't a fluke.
No, I mean, his teams are always good.
You saw what Eric Musselman in the run up to the Louisville Arkansas game. Somebody asked Eric Musselman about it, and he said he'd watched Louisville, and he went out of his way to compliment Bellarmine. He said, "I watched, Bellarmine. They played him in the first game," and he goes, "I'll tell you right now, we're never going to schedule that team." The way they passed the ball, they had multiple possessions where they didn't dribble once. They just pass the ball and move, and they're so patient and get good shots. I don't care what the offer is. I'm never going to schedule that team.
It's Loyola Marymount. I was wondering if it was Liberty or Loyola Marymount.
Right. They had played Loyola Marymount here last year, so this is a return game.
So that's not till Friday. So did you say they're flying somewhere today?
They're on their way. Yeah, they're going to have Thanksgiving in LA tomorrow. I think Eric Crawford told me they were leaving today.
Are they playing? Are they playing both of these games in LA?
Yeah, Loyola Marymount is right outside Los Angeles, and then they play UCLA on Sunday. Then I think they're taking a red eye back Sunday night after the UCLA game. They get back here, and then they bus to Rupp and play Kentucky on Tuesday. They'll be dead tired.
I've just been texting with Scotty. I'm going to have him on the show next week with you when you're on. So but looking forward to that. But incredible. And you talked about Louisville there. Boy, they remind me of Indiana, their 08-09 season. Can they have even that good of a season this year? The way it's looking?
Indiana won 6 that year, right? In one conference game?
6 and 25, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can win 6, although I wouldn't bet on it. They could have already won 2 easily. They've lost 3 games by 1 point. And I know they're against teams they should be beating. I think they've actually got an outside chance to win today against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not great. Northern Kentucky beat them last week. I think Ken Palm has Cincinnati favored by 6. The problem they're going to have is just dealing with the negativity. As you can imagine in this town, it's apoplectic. People are already, get rid of this guy, bench this guy, start this guy, get rid of this coach, do this. And Peyton Siva was on Twitter yesterday advising the players to stay off social media. At this point, when you're getting beat as badly as they've gotten beaten the 2 games in Maui, I just think you have to recalibrate your team and say, we're going to find one thing we can be good at, whether it's going to be hustling, whether it's going to be blocking out, whether it's going to be, defending for a few possessions, because it's been pretty ugly. You guys have watched some of it, and Arkansas at one stretch had 4 or 5 straight dunks in that game, and yesterday Louisville had, I think, 3 or 4 baskets in the first half. The game was 45-13 at one point. Yeah. I mean, they were on track to barely score 30 points for the game. I mean, and I compare them to the Indiana team in that year too, but Louisville has more talent. I mean, that Indiana team had Kyle Tabor, they had freshman Verdell Jones, freshman Daniel Moore, freshman Tom Pritchard, Devin Dumas, freshman Malik Story and Nick Williams. They had a walk-on from the baseball team, Matt Roth. I mean, this team has Brandon Huntley Hatfield, who was a top 25 recruit and transferred from Tennessee. They have Jalen Withers, who was a top 100 recruit. They have L. Ellis, who was the top junior college point guard in America. I mean, they should be better than this. And it's not good. And no, Bellarmine does not play Gonzaga. They played Gonzaga last year, I think. I saw the note in there.
I think Louisville's focus should be just on having fun at this point. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, I mean, obviously you follow it way closer, but you watch a team, and it's been a long time that I've watched. Oregon State was pretty bad last year, but this, I mean, I guess things can always get better, but I don't know. I don't even know what else to say, to be honest.
Well, I mean, they're dealing with the accumulation of effects from the last 5 years.
Right.
They've been dealing with NCAA problems for 5 years. It's hurt recruiting. This is now Patino was the coach at the start of the 2017-18 season. Then it went to David Padgett. Then it went to Chris Mack. Then it went to Mike Pegues, and now it's Kenny Payne. So that's 5 coaches in 5 years. That has a tremendous effect on a team. A lot of guys who were on the team last year left and are playing elsewhere. The 2 Davis brothers from Indianapolis are now at Seton Hall. Matt Cross is at Massachusetts. Samuel Williamson was an McDonald's All-American. He's at SMU. They lost another guy. I can't remember who it was, but they just don't. Their backcourt is awful. I mean, they've committed more turnovers than the opposing team in all 5 games by a substantial margin. And, that's understandable against Arkansas and Texas Tech, but you shouldn't be making more turnovers than Bellarmine and Wright State and Appalachian State.
Just a side note, today is Todd Leary's birthday. I didn't know that.
Happy birthday, Todd.
Yeah, you think that I would. I'll talk to him tonight after the game, so I'll wish him happy birthday again. But yeah, happy birthday to Todd Leary. I did not know that.
Now Hoosiers play at 6:30, is that correct?
Yes, sir. 6:30 against Little Rock. And
they're not very good, right? What's Indiana favored by 25?
I think.
What's the word on Galloway's knee? Is he gonna sit out again, or does anybody know? And B, how concerning is Trace Jackson Davis's back situation?
I don't know that it's just one of those things that you don't want to be lingering.
Right.
That needs to get. He's going to have to let it heal at some point, and they've not had any time off here of late. It's just been bang, bang, bang,
right.
And this continues now because you've got this Wednesday game, this Friday game, and North Carolina comes up next Wednesday. So they had that week off, a little bit ago, but I don't know enough about it, and they don't generally share a lot about injuries. So it's either.
I mean, they could sit Trace Jackson Davis for one of these games this week, I think, without any.
I would sit him for maybe both of them if it's not, depending on what it is. If it's something you want to get healed, sit him. You don't need him in these games.
Right.
And if you do, then you've got bigger problems. I think sitting him would possibly be good for the team because it would force them to find different ways to score and defend and to overcome adversity, because Trace Jackson has been the guy in every freaking game, which you expect that when he's your superstar. But at the same time, we had Xavier had a good game. But the thing that is giving me a little pause is in every game, it's been 2 to 3 of the starters have had really bad games. And it's been that way every game where 2 or 3 guys are shooting, 70%, and the rest of the team is shooting 25%. While that brings the average up, it looks nice. It's not. So when you get against those bigger teams, it's going to show much more prominently, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they got enough depth to survive that right now, and Renew's obviously ready to play in especially in these 2 games this week. It wouldn't hurt to give Duncombe a little bit more time, because I think he's going to be somebody you might need in the Big Ten, because as we've talked about before, the Big Ten is the one league where you do have these big bulky centers that he can go in there and maybe give Indiana 8 to 10 minutes of defense and rebounding. And without Galloway, I think we saw Sunday, and we've seen in other games that CJ Gunn is ready for more time. He looks like he has a much better offensive skill set than any of those guys in that group. I mean, I don't think he's physically ready yet, but Caleb Banks looks like he's got quite a few in his toolbox. He's good. He shot that 1-3 from the corner with confidence and made it, and he's not afraid to attack the basket. Now in the Big Ten, I think his ball handling might be exposed a little bit, and his lack of physical strength wouldn't hold up, but he looks like a kid who's got a lot of – I mean, the freshmen all look like they're going to be contributors at Indiana.
Absolutely. Well, the 2 already are, as you said, and the other 2, CJ Gunn and Caleb Banks, are definitely very talented and are capable of playing. They just need seasoning. CJ's defense has come along. That was his biggest knock, but in the last game, he really was aggressive defensively, and it showed because his stat line was pretty much empty. He was 2 of 7, I think, but early on it was empty, but he had already made a lot of contributions before making a single mark on that stat line. And so when you see that, that's when you know, okay, now you're seeing player development, which is a crucial point of importance, because that's one of the things we talk about with Indiana football, the lack thereof. You've got to see player development. So if CJ Gunn's getting better, if Caleb Banks is getting better, and Logan Duncombe continues to get better, this is, next year and the year after that, that's how you continue to propel a good, solid program. And Indiana looks to be on really good footing right now from top to bottom.
I mean, Gunn looks like a guy, if he really develops, he could be a 3-year starter. And he looks like the best, potential shooting guard they've had since James Blackman. And in some ways, he could be a better player than James Blackman because he's bigger and he's a more willing defender. We all know that Blackman, a lot of Ole moments on defense when Blackman was in there. He made up for it because he was, a really good scorer, but he wasn't stopping anybody on the defensive end. And the other team knew it, and it was straight line drives right past them. I think CJ Gunn can defend, and we haven't seen a consistent outside shot from Geronimo or Bates or Galloway yet. Not saying it's not going to happen, but Gunn looks like he's a better prospect as a shooter than any of those guys.
Oh yeah, Galloway is going to be an okay one backup, but his shooting has improved.
It has,
but he's not the CJ Gunn. I mean, CJ Gunn is the guy that I went and saw play high school ball, and he could score 18 points in the fourth quarter because he's got that in the moxie, the confidence, and the ability,
and the size. I mean,
his length, his arms. That's what's going to make him a defender as a guard.
Yeah, if he develops, he can be a matchup problem for any team. I mean, because if you're going to play against Indiana with small guards and he develops the way he looks like he could, I mean, that's a tough matchup for the other team.
Well, we'll get to talk about North Carolina next week, fortunately, when you're on next week. So I know Dustin is just dying to ask us some more Thanksgiving questions. So
I Oh, I asked the primary one. The only other one I put out there, Rick, was so every year around Thanksgiving during the break, I throw in Son-in-Law. It's a movie we watch every year around Thanksgiving. And it's hard with the sports schedule the way it is. Is there a movie that you guys watch, whether it's on Thanksgiving Day or during this Thanksgiving break at all, that is an annual tradition or anything?
There's no group movie. There's a movie that I watch, which is The Godfather. It's usually on Bravo, I think, all day long. In the holidays, I don't know if it's on for sure on Thanksgiving. I think it is, but Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 are on. So that would be the one that I watch. It's my favorite movie of all time. Never gets old. I know a lot of the lines. And that's my one. That's my go-to one.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I got a lot of responses in like a lot of people break out Christmas Vacation for the first time. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles seems to be a popular one this time of year. So it was just an interesting, like, I don't know. There's just, for whatever reason, when I'm not watching the NFL or college football or whatever, we throw that movie on. And I was curious if anybody else did anything like that during Black Friday or Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thursday there's usually some college hoops on the tournament.
Yeah,
Maui ends today, and then Bahamas starts going. And doesn't Purdue play tomorrow?
Purdue plays. Yes, they play tomorrow in the Phil Knight Classic, but I don't think they play till 10 or 10:30. It's a late
West Virginia.
Yeah.
And being Serbian Thursday afternoon at 1:00. The Serbs play Brazil in the World Cup. Got to watch that.
There you go.
How about Saudi Arabia, man?
Wow.
I didn't know they had a soccer team.
Well,
I had never heard of Saudi Arabia playing soccer. I did not. I mean, I guess everybody does, but
I've read that there were people like crying in the streets. Someone said there was a journalist crying in the interview area from Argentina after that loss. I mean, legitimately crying. Maybe who knows what's going to happen to the Argentinian team when they get back home.
Maybe he's paid by certain people. Yes, no legs. Let's see. Yeah, The Departed is one of my favorite movies.
The Departed. Which one is that? Is that the one from Boston?
Yes, that's
I like that movie.
The Scorsese movie with DiCaprio and gosh, everybody's
Sean
in
Penn in that
movie. No,
Ruby.
It's the Mark the singer, Mark somebody.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. He's in it.
Pardon me for 1 second.
Ruby, don't take your love to town. Ruby. I wish we could play that song, Ruby. That one I told you that Ricky Skaggs played.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. Ruby. Oh, Ruby, are you mad at your man?
Thanksgiving Parade. There you go. Do you watch the Thanksgiving Parade, Jim?
Dude, I don't have time to watch a parade, man.
It's on at like 10 in the morning.
I'm doing a show. Oh, you mean tomorrow?
Yeah.
Man, yeah, no, I'm not going to get watching a parade is not on my
your agenda.
My agenda. I'm trying to get this thing clear. There we go. But Jennifer loves all the dogs. She says he's adorable. Well, you love all the dogs, though. Let's see. Well, of course we're nuts. There's no doubt.
See, this is what happens during a holiday week. Ruby usually goes to doggy daycare on Wednesday, but there's a lottery during holiday weeks to go.
Oh.
And she lost the lottery. So when I went there this morning to take her, they said there's no room at the inn. So Ruby's here. So
sorry, folks. Park's closed.
We interrupted the show, and she's going to have to go to the park with me for a long walk to take off, burn some for energy. Because if you ever had a Labrador Retriever, when the weather's cold, they want to play all day long.
Yep. Hopefully you don't run into any loose bulls out there this time.
They got them all. They finally got the last one on Sunday.
That's good.
Really? Mm-hmm. Just got it. I'm not surprised. I mean,
they had to call in some official cattle wranglers from West Virginia to get the last one.
That's bull crap. All they had to do is call me and my friends across the river. We're pros at it, baby. We've done this. We've done this before. You know exactly how this works. Yeah, that was something. 40 of them, baby. We had 40 of them to track down. Actually, they didn't get the last 3. You know, and you'll know where this area is, Rick. It's in New Albany, where the old Treetops Apartments were. State Street goes up. Just to the left of there, there's like a little power station that sits up in that area. It's just a wooded area in that corner between where 64 turns and State Street goes up. Well, there were 3 of them that stayed in there for like 3 months. I think a hunter got 1, and the other 2 were taken care of. But yeah, they
details.
They can certainly.
They can be stubborn. They look pretty stubborn at the park.
And yeah, and once they get that way, it stays that way. What are you doing? What's coming up for you for over the next week?
Saturday? I'll be at the Kentucky-Louisville game, which is kind of a different storyline than a month ago. Satterfield was on the hot seat, 2-3. Now Louisville 7-5. Kentucky was 7th in the AP poll. They were 4-0. Now they're 6-5. They've lost 3 home games. They're only favored by 3. And Louisville's become a trendy pick. So it's the Governor's Cup that Kentucky's won 3 years in a row. So we'll see if Louisville can actually, make it into a rivalry again.
Indiana and Purdue also playing this weekend. And before last week, I didn't think this would have any chance of being a game. And what Indiana did last week, I'm still shocked over. And now I'm like, it's a rivalry game. And Purdue doesn't have a lot of this to prepare for because Indiana really just started doing this running this offense. So, I mean, Jeff Brom is obviously a great coach, and they're a better team on paper. I don't know. Who knows what can happen?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to depend on what happens on Friday. If Iowa wins on Friday, that takes away a lot of Purdue's motivation that they can't win the Big Ten West.
Yep. Exactly.
If Iowa loses, then Purdue's playing for a chance in the Big Ten championship game. But Indiana's Tom Allen's only beaten them once, and that was that overtime game up in Lafayette a couple of years ago or 3 years ago. So I don't know. I think Purdue would still be the pick, but Indiana, I agree with you. I didn't think they had it in them what they did at Michigan State, and they pretty much ruined Michigan State's season because I'm pretty sure Michigan State goes to Penn State this weekend. If they don't win, they don't go to a bowl game. And that's they ruined Penn State's season. I mean, Michigan State's season.
Oh yeah, and shocking. I mean, how do you? I don't know how at home you do what they did, but they did it, and it's their entire season has been a head shaker for me after what they did last year. The fall off has been unbelievable. I'm trying to.
I think we said I'm pretty sure we said here a month ago or 6 weeks ago that considering Indiana's problems on the offensive line, it made sense to go with a more mobile quarterback.
Yes.
They weren't blocking anybody. And I don't know what the reluctance was to play Dexter Williams. And I'm not sitting here saying I knew that Dexter Williams was going to do great things, but I think they needed to change the way they approach things on offense, because if you can't block anybody, and last year it was Penix, this year it's been Bazelak and Tuttle. When anytime they dropped back to pass, they had no time and they were getting clobbered. Why not go with a guy who can run around? And it's worked.
Well, and not only that, Rick, but I thought at the very least, Indiana's not on the verge of going to a college football playoff. Run 2 quarterbacks out there. If you want to throw the ball, put Bazelak in. And if you're looking to do something a little bit different, use Dexter Williams. Keeping teams off balance at least makes them have to respect different aspects of the game. So to me, after you lost a couple games, why didn't you try to experiment with something? They got nothing going, and maybe this gives them a boost. Maybe this gives them some confidence, because the one thing that you can say now is if they do upset Purdue, I mean, you're talking about a completely different offseason, going in 5-7, ending the season with 2 rivalry victories. I mean, that would be absolutely huge considering the disaster of the season has been for the most part.
Yeah, make a note of this, though. Next week's going to be the most interesting week of the season because it's a dead week in recruiting. And the news about the transfer portal everywhere is going to be crazy next week.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I mean, every coach that I've talked to or read stuff from next week is going to be reserved for talking to his own players and re-recruiting them and finding out from guys like, are you staying or are you leaving? You got to tell us.
Yeah.
And someone told me yesterday there was like 400 or 500 FCS players since their regular seasons ended last week already in the transfer portal.
Oh, jeez.
And guys, our programs are already like, sifting through those guys. And I look at Louisville. I mean, Louisville's best receiver is a former FCS receiver, Travis Hudson. There's good players at that level. If you've got a good scouting and analytics department, you can find guys at that level and recruit them.
A little note here. Kansas has locked in Lance Leopold till 2029. And bigger than that, Washington and Kalen DeBoer have agreed through 2028. He was originally to be paid $3.2 million next year. He will now be guaranteed just shy of $4.8 million, with his salary increasing by $100,000 each subsequent year.
Makes you wonder if Nebraska knows who its guy is, because Mark Stoops, who was rumored for Nebraska, just got himself up to $9 million at Kentucky, and now Lance Leopold, who was rumored for Nebraska, is re-upped with Kansas. So I wonder if Nebraska has its guy and it's somebody else.
I think they do, and I think they'll announce it at some point this weekend. That would be my guess.
Matt Campbell or Matt Campbell or the Kansas State guy, or who is it?
I think it's going to be Luke Fickell, actually.
Oh wow,
that would be my pick. I mean, I don't have any inside information on that. That's just my guess, but I agree with you. I think regardless of who it is, I do think Nebraska's probably locked it up.
Here's another quick bit on that. Did you know Luke Fickell's daughter has signed to play volleyball at Indiana?
Yes, I did. And I know that Indiana's on a roll in volleyball. Didn't they beat Northwestern and Ohio State over the weekend?
Number 5 at Ohio State, and they have 2 matches. They have one today, one Friday, to determine, I think, whether or not they make the tournament. This is like they're
Big
doing
Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament?
I think this is the Big Ten tournament. I would think. I would have thought everybody made it, but I guess they don't. So
guys, I gotta go. My dog's disturbing the neighbors now, so I'm sorry about this.
It's all right, buddy.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to the Bozich family and Ruby. We appreciate Ruby. Thank you so much. Rick Bozich joining us from WDRB.com. It's always crazy on the day before Thanksgiving. But, yeah, it's been a fun one, as always. Looking forward to the games tonight. Don't forget, after the game with Todd Leary comes to you pretty much after the game is over. We try to wait till the pressers are done, but I think he's going to start getting that thing started a little sooner for you guys, so you don't have to worry about it waiting. So there's that, and maybe start getting some guests on with him as well. But make sure you come on and wish Todd Leary a happy birthday tonight as well for that. So we'll have that show for you, as well as Fridays for you then as well. And then next Wednesday, man, that's going to be a big one. That's a big one, even though it's going to be a late night show. Todd does not stay up that late. I don't know what. I may have to get somebody different that night, because that's way past Todd's bedtime, man. The game starting is past his bedtime. Yeah. So I'm going to have to see about that one. But, yeah, make sure you join us tonight for that, as we'll be there, as always, brought to you by Endeavor Hospitality. And give me a follow on Twitter, please, at Jim Coyle ISB and at Schutte Sports.
At Schutte, just at Schutte Dustin. Last name, first name.
Man, he keeps changing it. At Schutte Dustin as well. So there's that. Make sure you, Ed, if you haven't, please subscribe on YouTube. It helps us immensely, and we greatly appreciate it. It helps get the show out to more people. But please hit that subscribe button and toggle the notifications. Yeah, Dustin?
Let me just say, I just want to say with this Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful for you to allow me to come on this show every day. And it's been an absolute blast. And it's awesome. Co-hosting a radio show has been something I've always wanted to do. So I appreciate you giving me that opportunity. And then obviously I appreciate all the support we get from our Indiana Sports Beat viewers, listeners, everybody around, whether it's radio, podcast, YouTube, wherever. It's absolutely incredible. It's why I look forward to getting up early in the mornings and then into the afternoon and doing this show with you. It's been awesome.
Yep. Well, we're as thankful to have you as you are to be here. Promise you that. It is much better with you than without you. I can't wait I'm looking forward to those days when I can't be here, and it's going to be Dustin. It's going to be the Dustin show. It'll be better. But I'm afraid to do that because then they were like, well, the show's gotten better.
I don't think so.
I promise you. I promise you. So I'm like, well, that's why I don't take any breaks. That's why I never take a day off. Yeah. It's nuts. But I hope everyone's ready to have a great Thanksgiving. Let's see. Hitting up on the happy Thanksgiving to you, Five Lefts. And Chris, happy Thanksgiving to you. Please hit that like button and the subscribe button after every show. It really, really helps us. Five Lefts, you are correct. He does an incredible job. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Forrest. Robert, we're glad the post-game shows are back as well, as now the big season goes on, but we're thankful for you, thankful for each and everybody that joins us here. Every day I like to say that, but I'm serious. I sincerely mean that. I'm grateful to people like Dustin and Bob and Bob Kravitz and Kyle Neddenriep and Rick Bozich and Joe the producer, John the producer. But without you guys, there's no reason for us to be here. And I truly and sincerely thank you guys and really, really appreciate you all more than you know. So go out and have yourselves a very, very happy Thanksgiving. We will see you back here tonight for After the Game with Todd Leary on his birthday. So go out and have yourselves a wonderful day. Dustin, thank you, brother. Looking forward to it. We'll see you again soon.
Sounds good, man. Let's feed our faces this weekend.
Until tonight, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.